We are flying over Havana, capital city of Cuba, largest island of the West Indies, discovered by Columbus on his first voyage to the New World. Gleaming white in the sunshine, Havana's magnificent Capitol building has often been a scene of internal strife and revolution. Along the seawall runs a beautiful driveway called the Malecon, built in memory of the battleship Maine. But our plane hurries on over southern waters, and in a few hours we look down upon the finest harbor in the West Indies, Kingston, Jamaica. Into this harbor once came all the swaggering buccaneers of the seven seas, spilling gold and blood. But today, a British bobby in a pith helmet easily controls the traffic on the Main Street corner. For Jamaica, unmistakably British, has been one of England's far-flung colonial possessions for more than 300 years. For her administrators, she has constructed handsome official residences among gorgeous tropical foliage. Quiet coves surrounding the island once made perfect landing places and hideouts for the pirates and freebooters who plied the Spanish Main. Jamaica, called the garden spot of the West Indies, has many streams. On the island have been brought sacred cattle from India, which have multiplied in great numbers. Over the charming hillside they roam, a mass of creamy white, like the ghosts of their ancestors, back home in Mother India. But our modern magic carpet awaits to carry us to other entrancing isles. So we fly away from this paradise in the Caribbees, and it is but a matter of minutes before we sight the hills of Haiti, with its capital city, Port-au-Prince, spread out at the head of a vast bay. "200 years after Columbus visited Haiti, it was ceded to France. A beautiful cathedral built in the time of Napoleon marks the French domination. But Haiti, now a republic, is governed from the glistening white marble palace of the president. Out of its turbulent past came one of the greatest heroes in history, Toussaint Louverture, a native black. Donkeys are seen everywhere on the island, especially on market day. When heavily laden, they jangle along, an endless procession that beats into one's consciousness like the voodoo drums of old. Nobly poised women walk with animal grace, inscrutable, totally indifferent, with no regard for the load on little Jocko's back. Right through the crowded streets they go, exotic, weird, a kaleidoscope of color, with large baskets evenly balanced on turbaned heads. At last the marketplace, a bedlam of bargaining, with mounds of incredible fruits, herbs, pots, chickens, and pigs that greatly tempt the large eyes of small boys. Some of the young ladies are shy and hide their faces, but maybe it's just as well. Business over for the day. Once again on the backs of the little donkeys, they wend their way homeward, over mountains and through forests of giant mahogany trees, where the hard wood is still sawed by hand, for fashions in Haiti change but little. We fly away over the grim citadel of Henri Christophe, a Negro slave who proclaimed himself king and held court, surrounded by the nobility he created, with such fantastic titles as the Duke of Marmalade and His Serene Highness, the Prince of Lemonade. The chalk cliffs of Santo Domingo, Haiti's sister republic, beckon us to the birthplace of America. For it was here that Columbus landed while seeking a western route to India, thus calling the islands the West Indies. It is said that he tied his flagship to this very tree. In the heart of the city of Santo Domingo stands the great Spanish cathedral, the first church in the New World. The bells were a gift from completed in 1540. The cathedral once held the mortal remains of Columbus, which were later removed to Seville in Spain. And how can anyone fail to be overawed as he walks in the very streets where Columbus, Pizarro, Cortez, Balboa have walked before? Here, too, are the ruins of the castle of Diego Columbus, son of the great discoverer. The gaunt walls, now covered with the weeds of time, echo the grandeur of the past. But back to the present, back to our ultra-modern ship of the air, riding the Southern Cross. A few minutes with the wind, and we are over Puerto Rico, island of enchantment, discovered by Columbus on his second voyage. One of the first to go ashore at that time was Ponce de Leon, disappointed seeker of the fountain of youth. On a magnificent harbor almost landlocked is situated the capital city, San Juan, all white in a setting of Caribbean blue. In the old Spanish district, the streets are often hilly and contain long series of steps. Puerto Rico was a colony of Spain for nearly 400 years, and the old Moro fortress guarded the island many times from attack. But in 1898 came the Spanish and American War, and now over the historic embattlement peacefully floats the Stars and Stripes. Now we fly over another American possession, St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands, purchased from Denmark for $25 million. Soon we sight the volcanic cliffs of Saba Island, rising 1,000 feet abruptly out of the sea. It is the outlying sentinel of the Dutch West Indies, without a cove or harbor anywhere on its round rocky base. Supplies are brought in boats by the natives, who are expert seamen and live in the bottom of a crater at the top. Up steps cut in the solid rock, they climb 800 feet to town. As we take off, the top of the island is wreathed in mist. But skies soon become fair and waters blue, and then Trinidad. The principal city, Port of Spain, is a merry-go-round of strange races in a British colonial setting. Hindu temples are seen all about the island, for 1/3 of Trinidad's population are East Indians, with picturesque priests who wear long, flowing beards. Sugar is the great tracts of land, invariably worked by hand. The methods used throughout are anything but modern, for labor is abundant and cheap. Even their latest locomotive would hardly be considered up to date. Good old-fashioned ox carts are most frequently used as a means of transporting the sugar cane from the field to the press. The oxen, strong and sturdy, are always dependable. So what matters if they are slow? No one here is in a hurry anyway. Along the road they pass mother, giving baby a bath in the family water pail. Mule teams are also used to carry the cane to a windmill that is nearly 200 years old. But most colorful of all are the women themselves, as they walk erect with great piles of stalks on their heads. Amazons all, like their sisters in South America, just across the Narrows. A 2-century-old press, made almost entirely of wood, crushes the cane by means of a succession of rollers. The crushed cane, called magasse, is valued by the natives, who use it for fuel. Fanned by a gentle tropic breeze that is warm and fragrant, the windmill spins on, casting its giant shadow over native black boys who delight in the succulent cane. And so we leave the lovely islands of the West Indies, whose history rivals romance, whose blue seas forever mingle with crimson skies.